Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your January 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. There is a lot of activity in your fourth house of home and family because for you, this is Capricorn. And on the second day of 2022, we have a new moon at 12 degrees of Capricorn. So this is in addition to your ruler, Venus, being there, retrograding in Capricorn in this fourth house. So something around the issue of family or real estate could be in play, maybe even combining these things. I believe that the fourth house is the mother, so maybe there's some money that she was going to give you. Now it's not. Now it's up in the air as the Venus retrograde occurs, or that you were going to get from her side of the family or something along those lines. Maybe it's the house that you grew up in that's involved here. In terms of your own house, if you are moving house, or you have been putting a down payment, or something with a house, there might be some kind of things that are up in the air, making an offer on a house. It can also be, during Venus retrograde, you can also get a really good deal for a house with it being in this area of your life. Another thing about Venus retrograde is an old love coming back into the picture. Now, in the fourth house, this might be from your childhood or your homeland. Maybe this is a high school sweetheart or something that reminds you of the past. But here we have this new moon here, so there's also forward movement at the same time. On the same day, Mercury goes into Aquarius. Now, that's your fifth house, so the plot thickens because the fifth house can be love, you communicating with somebody in a romantic way. So that could be connected to that fourth house. If you are artistic, this is, and you are a writer, this is great for that because you might be really coming up with ideas for a project, and you have Saturn in this fifth house. So you are serious about it. You're not just goofing around here. On the 14th, Mercury goes retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius. It's important to note that 4 days later, Uranus goes direct at 10 degrees of Taurus because those two signs form a square, and this is an exact square. So when Mercury goes into that fifth house, there can also be communication with an ex. I would, if I went out on a limb, I could say, I guarantee that you're going to hear from an ex in January because of these two retrogrades, both affecting you in particular ways, being that you are ruled by Venus and also Mercury going into the fifth house. If this is the case, I mean, I was wondering if it'll be more than one ex that kind of resurfaces. But anyway, if it is happening, what I would say is that you don't get carried away because you might be so excited to hear from somebody who has been out of the picture that you forget why they've been out of the picture. And that can be a bit foolish because there might be a really good reason why they're out of the picture. So anyway, On the 17th, we have full moon, 27 degrees of Cancer. Here's another cardinal sign. This time, it's the opposite sign from that new moon opposite house. So now we're talking about the career sector. Full moon, and this is a later degree of Cancer. This could be even more so some kind of culmination, some kind of situation where you're reaping the benefits of something that you reaping the harvest of something that you put into motion before. So that could be success in something. And also recognition for past efforts. For some people, especially if you are a specific age, you might be retiring. It might not be that you're in your 60s or anything like that. You can be younger than that, and perhaps you've been working a certain type of job for 20 years, and you're just retiring, and possibly you'll start your own business at some point, but you're retiring from that particular job. Perhaps you're eligible for a pension or something along those lines. And maybe they give you a dinner in your honor or something like that. So what I was just referencing a little bit earlier is on the 18th, Uranus going direct, 10 degrees of Taurus. Now, for you, this has been the 8th house. Oh, wow. That's interesting because the 4th and the 10th houses can be parents. Now, so the 10th house, one of your parents, and I had said this earlier, maybe they have already passed away, or, this is around the time. I feel like this is something that has been, a done deal. This is not something sudden. This is something that you've been dealing with, but the 8th house can be inheritances and all of that. So, so the full moon in the 10th house, I think of the 10th house as the father, but some people say the mother, whatever. And so that could be kind of the closure of that experience of what you have had to deal with the loss of a parent. And the next day, this Uranus direct, there may have been a lot of plot twists when it came to some kind of will. Maybe that they produced a will here, a will there. Maybe there was money that you didn't know about. And all of these things are getting sorted out in January. It's an interesting place to have this Uranus transit. Also, another thing, Uranus is very unpredictable. So when it goes direct, I think it can work for you rather than being totally chaotic. I mean, not to say there won't be some surprises here and there, but one thing that this can influence a Libra person is to explore astrology, to explore kind of information that even has almost like a scientific bent. Of course, astrology can be like that, but also, I don't even know what they call that. I was going to say galactic information, star seeds, ascension. When I listen to people talking about this, I just like sit there and I don't understand a lot of it, but it's fascinating to me because some people have incarnated and are really sharing some of their out there kind of wisdom. And the thing about Uranus is it's ahead of its time. That's the ruler of Aquarius. It's ahead of its time. And this is a time, an idea whose time has come. So that might be beginning to remember some of these galactic truths. I mean, anyway, just things like that. On the 19th, the sun goes into Aquarius, so that's perfect. This is really flavored with Aquarian energy, Uranian energy. And this is that fifth house for you. For anybody, this is a great time because it's about fun, it's about pleasure. But for Libra, you can make pleasure an art form. Although for, the Venus is associated with pleasure, but there's a higher form and there's a lower form. The lower form is more sensual and connected with the body. So Taurus, being an earth sign, is, and I don't even like to say lower and higher and all that, but there's more with you. The pleasure can be in the form of stimulating your mind rather than your loins. So you might be going to more art exhibits. You might be, doing more cultural things during this time, or just more parties, more social gatherings. But if you are artistic, this is wonderful because, like I said, you have Saturn in, also in 2022 in this house, and Saturn is serious. So this is the house of love and creativity. So Saturn isn't going to allow you to be content just to have a love affair. It really wants to have a serious relationship, nail down a relationship instead of just some kind of frivolous affair. And if you are artistic and you just kind of are a dabbler and you just are doing it for a hobby, Saturn might say, why don't you try to do this as a career? So with the sun here, you might be like kind of really tuning into that. On the 24th, Mars goes into Capricorn. See, this is where it gets interesting. Again, in that fourth house. So what do we have in that fourth house? Well, the sun has recently left. We've had a new moon. What we have going on is we have Pluto, we have Mars. On the next day, the 25th, Mercury dips back into Capricorn. So Mercury is there. We've got Venus. These are personal planets, so they're more connected to our day-to-day, our personal matters. So Mars going in there, and then Mercury retrograding in that in that fourth house, contracts that are faulty, that have to be re-signed, reviewed. Mars can be combative, some kind of conflict with family of origin, with something to do with a home or a contract with a home. On the 29th, Venus goes direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn. So there can be harmony restored to some degree. Mars is still there. It's going to sort itself out in February, whatever's going on, because Venus doesn't even come out of its shadow until early March. And so it still is subject to some of the it's gaining ground, it's gaining degrees, so it's strengthening, you could say, but it still is in shadow period, even though it's stationed direct. So just keeping that in mind. Same with Mercury. Mercury is retrograde until early February, and then it has its post-retrograde shadow. And I've experienced snafus in a post-Mercury shadow that were almost like, I was like, this is almost like the Mercury red, and even a pre-shadow, that are almost like the worse than the retrograde itself. So, and you know what? I've experienced snafus when there wasn't any kind of retrograde happening. So remember that as well. These are just kind of outlines. And so they can comfort you if you feel like everything's going, to hell in a handbasket. You can look to these transits and go, oh, good, this shall pass. But it doesn't mean that that's going to be true 100% of the time. We don't have to make this a fundamentalist religion that we take everything literally. We can pick and choose and be loosey-goosey with it. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that you resonated with it. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. I am promoting my double readings. I'm not much of a self-promoter, but I feel like this is a very good value because you're getting in depth, like a double reading for a discounted price, and a significant discount actually. And it's the point is that these are full length readings. Full length chart analysis an hour, and a full length transits for the next 12 months an hour, called deep dive reading. The link below takes you to my online store where you can see what kind of readings I offer. Thanks for listening. Have a great month. Take care. Bye.